Good morning. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us for another edition of the Morning Breeze, man. Always rocking with you guys, as always, man. Outside of me, I got my guy, Mr. Media himself, Jordan JC, in the building. You can't plug your own stuff. What you gonna plug? You know what I mean? Freeze mode. Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love to another edition of the Morning Breeze. We got a lot to get into on today's show. Glad to be back. Rested. Feeling better.
Well rested, yes.
Well rested. Yeah, we took 3 days off. We should be well rested. They were mad. They were upset at us. We're part of their morning routine. We let them down. But we're back at it again. Appreciate y'all for rocking with us, man. A lot to get into on today's show. Are the Bears eyeing a trade up? Could they be looking to get some deals done here at the NFL Combine? This is where elbows are rubbed, baby. This is where you get in there and you start. There you go. Oh, wrong arm there. Yeah. You start rubbing elbows with everybody in the building. Yeah, I mean, and you just you get some stuff done. Make some things happen. And there's an interesting trade scenario that the 33rd team put out. Also, ESPN dropped a bold move for all 32 teams. And dare I say, even though I'm on the defensive side, this may be a little too bold. We got to talk about all that more in today's edition of the Morning Breeze. The date is 2/24/2025. It's 7:02 in the morning. And Jordan JC.
Hey.
Winter might be over. 45 degrees outside, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Jeez. Oh boy. Is that spring I see?
Early winter. Early
spring I see?
Right.
Is that groundhog gonna see his shadow?
Oh, hey.
Oh, Garen in the building said he had himself a ribeye steak.
Oh, there we go.
Medium this past weekend. Jay Sizzle. How have we missed Jay Sizzle?
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Jay Sizzle. Nice.
How have we missed on Jay Sizzle? I feel like that's a layup for the whole steak vibe that you have going on here. Can you imagine all the people that have joined the show after and haven't gotten the steak explanation on the name Mr. Meaty and how confused they must be on a daily basis? Just like, why are they calling this grown man Mr. Meaty?
It's like, why is he not offended? Like, no,
why is he not more upset by this? I'd be ready to fight. Hey, man, we got a lot to get into. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love, man. Y'all already know what to do. Over 100 in the chat already. Hold on. Y'all know what to do, man. Stop playing with us. Go ahead and
come on. Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push the button.
You heard what she said.
Y'all heard what Sue Young said. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Baki, you are 100% correct. You know, as soon as you start to think winter is over, there's a zero coming right back at you.
negative number. I
thought we were done with this winter. Hold up. Oh, nope, not that one. Yeah, bet you thought winter was over, didn't you? It's going to get cold again. All right, now we're starting to show off right, man. George JC, how you feeling, my guy?
Oh, man, I'm good. Had some, actually, speaking of steak, went out for some steak tacos the other night. Everybody wants to talk about steak. Went to a place called Federales. I'm actually going to plug them.
We give us a free plug out here. All right.
But, hey, no, it was a really, really good time yesterday. But your boy is a little under the weather because this weather is definitely tricking me. It was like, 40 degrees yesterday? It got up to 40 yesterday. Yeah. So your boy probably didn't dress properly, and I'm going to pay for it.
Yeah, you went out in that Nirvana T-shirt and hat and those glasses. That's literally your outfit from last night. You just laid right in the bed and popped back up.
Didn't shower, didn't anything, guys. This is how you king. This is it.
Incredibly concerning. Let's talk a little bit of football, my guy, because The NFL Combine this week is going to be one that everyone has their eyes on, right?
Yeah.
Especially here in Chicago, we're going to be very focused on the offensive line and defensive line days at the NFL Combine. Those are going to be two of the most important days. Might even do a little live stream action on some of those days.
Ooh.
Where a little midday live stream action. So we'll see about that. See if the schedule permits it. I like to sneak in a random live in there. But the conversation for today is around the possibility of the Bears making trades. Now, normally, right, the NFL Draft Combine is where you get in there, you're talking with other GMs, you're eyeballing certain people. Maybe you see somebody that catches your eye, you look over at Ian Cunningham, who's not going anywhere at this point, and you go, where is he supposed to be falling? Where's he supposed to be sliding? He's going, where's he at now? 25? Oh, we might need to make a move there. And I think a lot of people think with the Bears, more likely the scenario for them is to trade back from 10 to try and add more draft capital.
Yeah.
But there are going to be some interesting names up there at 10 if they want to make that pick. This is a very loaded first round here, especially when it comes to the trenches. You got guys on the defensive line, you've got guys on the offensive line, and maybe you want to add a little bit of both. The 33rd team kind of talked about this scenario with a team like Houston, who's got not a great situation going on here, especially with their cap space. They bring out the opposite side of Cleveland. Hold on. Sorry. Houston Texans rebuild was put on the fast track when they hit on CJ Stroud, and this roster is still catching up. Injuries have further made their efforts more difficult as the outlook on Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell loom over how the team can proceed forward with little cap resources. The 25th pick overall won't fetch a ton in return, but there will be teams like the Browns, Jets, and Bears that have reason to be a little more aggressive with their roster building strategies. Can the Texans pluck the 39th and 72nd overall pick from Chicago for 25? Those are the type of deals that can solve more problems for this coaching staff. And I think this is an interesting scenario because we talked about, right, how for me, I love a guy like Mike Green at 10. I want to see him go out and get a dominant pass rusher. I think he's got shades of Khalil Mack in his game. I think he often resets the offensive line, the line of scrimmage, I should say. I think that he's somebody quick twitch, just strong guy. Doesn't make sense for the size that he is. I think he's only 244, just moving people out of his way on a consistent basis. Dominated versus Ohio State. Even though they got crushed in that game, his one-on-one matchup.
Yeah, his performance. Yeah.
I love a Mike Green out of Marshall right now. You like a Josh Simmons, I should say. Who's a little bit later in the draft, could go around that 25 range. What say you to the possibility of maybe addressing multiple positions here in the first round with some of this top-tier talent?
Here's my thing. When we went into the mock draft, I was all for trading back to acquire more picks. In this article, I understand that the Texans have a lot of holes to fill and there's many needs. And so it would be very ideal for them to want to, package something like this with the Bears. I mentioned the 39th and the 72nd pick for 25. My thing is, if you're just going up 14 more spots, I'd stand pat. That would be my position. I'm not giving up more draft capital because there's so many other issues to address here. We may not have as many holes as Houston does.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the most important positions, I feel like we need to keep as much draft capital as possible. Now, here's my only thing. I can see a world where this may be okay if, like in the mock draft, we predicated it off of we're getting Drew Dahlman and Trey Smith in free agency, right? So again, this all goes back to, well, how does this affect, what we've done in free agency? What big fish did we grab then? So if we do, address a few of the spots online going into the draft, and this is a trade that you think is feasible, and Ryan Poles goes ahead and does this based off of maybe some prospects that he thinks will not be there at 39 and will not be there at 41. And he says, you know what, let's move up and let's look around for maybe, like I said, a Josh Simmons at and you don't trade back 10. You get maybe a Mike Green at 10, but then you address Josh Simmons at 25, or Josh Connerly, who's another name as well from Oregon, or even Tyler Booker's name is coming up draft boards. And so there's so many different tackles in this draft that can really kind of put you on a fast track to addressing this line and getting it straightened out. But my overall thing is I'm not going to take a chance and give more capital away. This is a really, again, like I said, a pivotal offseason for us to do what we have to do. I'm keeping as many picks as possible. That 39 and 41st pick, I feel like are valuable to me, and I want to keep those.
Well, 41 you would keep. You'd be giving up one of your second-round picks. You'd move on from 72, which is the third-round pick that the Bears have. I think that's what makes it interesting, right? I still got my first-round pick. Now I have 2 first-round picks and a second-round pick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that to me, I think is intriguing. And listen, it is on Ryan Poles to get the job done, right? It is on Ryan Poles to make the right decision. You can't go out there and just say, oh, well, you make the trades and you hope that, he ends up finding the right guy. There has been a good amount of success for Ryan Poles when he's had these first and second round picks at it as far as a hit rate. I think there's some question marks on some of the guys that you could have had, but you can't say that he's been that it's been a failure in the first and second rounds for him. I think that that's a place of comfort for him. I think that you could find some really solid pieces. Now, if it ended up being a running back in the second round in that scenario, maybe I'd be a little bit more okay with it because you're going offensive line.
Oh, check you out. All right.
That in the first round, I'm not thrilled by it.
Waking
right?
up really
no, not at all. But if you wanted to go your Caleb Johnson route out of Iowa, right? Because you were losing your mind that he wasn't going to be there.
All going right. I'm sick of that mess. Right.
But to me, that is kind of the scenario where I feel like the Bears could really benefit from it, where if there is a player that is more of a luxury piece or is more of a what's a good way to say it? More of like a outside piece or somebody who is more of a weapon, right? Outside of the trenches. I would be more willing to follow that line of thinking if you go out and fully address, hey, listen, we got a first-round defensive lineman. We got a first-round offensive lineman. This is the direction that we think gets us into moving in the right direction. There still has to be a ton done in free agency, right? We've talked about that. This is I don't think – is this more of a scenario – I guess this is the question, right? Is this more of a scenario that the Bears would go into – if they do acquire Drew Dahlman, Trey Smith, or if they miss out on one of those major names in your mind?
If they miss out, then yes, you move up or rather no, you don't make a move and give up more picks. And that's my thing is you move back and get and acquire more instead of giving up, because I feel like if you don't have one of these big names, and let's just say they do address offensive linemen in free agency, but they don't get a Drew Dahlman or Trey Smith, end up with a Zeitler or one of the other names.
Well, you're not going to end up with a Zeitler.
So like if they don't hit on one of the bigger names that they've been connected to since the start of all of these rumors, my thing is, do you really want to take a chance and give up more draft capital? That's the only problem for me is I wouldn't go that route. And I see a lot of people saying, are there many tackles in there are plenty of tackles in this draft. That's why I wouldn't, send Pat. You got a lot of
first round tackles. There's plenty of tackles in this draft that are some interesting prospects to look at, but they're not first round tackles.
They're not first round tackles. I understand, but I mean, you never know what will happen by the time of the draft. When the actual draft approaches. Some of these names, and again, it all depends on the combine, who wows, who stands out, who kind of puts their name above the rest. And we know how that goes. Every year there's a name or there's a couple of names that are going to just shoot up draft boards that we were like, where did this guy come from? Who had the blazing 40 time for an edge rusher, who had the measurables, and he comes from a small time college that we've never even heard of in the middle of Wisconsin. And so it's like, those are the guys that I'm looking for. And so, yes, this could get addressed again very quickly here. And so I wouldn't take a chance on just moving up a few spots. What is that, 25? So you're going back into the first round. You have
you're back in the first round. You have 2 first round picks here.
Yeah, that's still. I feel like that's taking a chance. I'd stand pat. I'd say, you know what? You got 4 picks in the top 7, 72, 75. I would keep him. I would keep him. That would be way too iffy for me to just say, you know what, I'm a package and go up. I wouldn't do that.
Now, listen, I think this is the interesting part, right? Say you move back into that range. Now, this is just where PFF has them ranked. This is not mock drafts for the first round. This is literally just where PFF has some of the prospects ranked. But at 23, if you're around that area, right, that's an Armand Membo.
You know I love Armand Membo.
At 25, I'd punch a baby on this one, but
what they got?
I have said that he reminds me of Matt Forte. That's an Omarion Hampton.
Second best running back, they say. Yeah. They said if it wasn't for Ashton Jeanty having an all-time season, he would clearly
Omarion
be the
Hampton
best running back in most drafts.
He really reminds me of Matt Forte.
Listen,
as far as how PFF has done it at this point, right? Somebody who we've mentioned, position player ranking 26. That's a Gray Zabel. If you're excited about the verse,
Gray Zabel coming up boards,
Gray Zabel is flying up boards, bro.
We thought he was like second round, third round.
Bro, I had him in the second round, and people were like, by the way, Jake Majors dying. Like Jake Majors needs a combine. Like,
where did he go?
Have a day, brother. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, like you look at some of these guys, right? That's a Jahad Campbell. I'm good on that, right? But like you look at some of the guys who are kind of there, a Josh Cornley, right? Like those are the names that's another tackle position, right? There, like JC said, there are tackles available. They're kind of at the end of that first round. To me, I think that's why it's more of a scenario, I think, that you be more aggressive in the draft in this situation where you feel like you have to hit on blue chip pieces. If you miss out on a Trey Smith, if you miss out on a Drew Dahlman, one or the other, or if you miss out on both, I think you probably stand pat in that situation because you just need as many bites as the apple as you can. But if you get one of the two right, and you're saying, hey, we want to be aggressive here. We want to go out and add to the defensive line, but also we see Gray Zabel down there, and we think that he should be a top 15 pick, but he's more of a 25 right now because he went to North Dakota State University, right? Or whoever the player is. I just think that that is a likely scenario that you could see the Bears trying to have conversations about down here at the combine. I think that's the thing about this, right? The thing about the combine that always intrigues me is that's where most of these conversations start. That's where most of this stuff gets going to me, where you're down there just like, hey, what would be the possibility of making a move here?
Yeah.
Right. Like that's how we traded with the Panthers to end up getting the haul of picks that we had already had. The conversations start down here at the combine. Ryan Poles was as many people may disagree with now, but I mean, down at the combine in those circles, he's very charming. You know what? He's gonna throw that charm on. He's gonna be like, hey, how about the future of your franchise? What would that cost you? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where he is good at. And let's see. I think it'd be interesting to see if he could get a deal done there. And I think that it would benefit the Bears in the long run.
I like the comment here real quick by Terry Shabert. He mentions this happens with guys from the Senior Bowl a lot. You know, talk about Gray Zabel this year, like people just moving up randomly or just shooting up boards. Just Jackson Powers Johnson, who we always talked about last year, was projected to go in the first round. It says, wait until the blue chip players tested the combine. I do agree with that. I think even with the names that we think are going to surprise folks that are going to be probably up there in the late first round or whatever, are going to kind of heighten their stock. You do have to look out for these blue chip players to kind of solidify where they should go as well. And so there may be a few sneaky names that come about. I saw someone, I think it was Pterodactyl Pops, that said that you shouldn't draft Mike Green at 10. He'll be there at 25. No, he will not. Mike Green will be up in the top 15 picks. They're like,
Mike Green is
attention.
Yeah, no, he's got a lot of attention around his name. He would have to have a horrible draft
combine.
Horrible combine, which
I don't see that.
Bro, listen, I don't care about the combine. I'm sorry. Like, I like it. I'm going to sit there and watch it. And I'm going to be enamored. But you know what the combine always does? The combine to me the combine is the bum booster. The combine is the BBL of football, right? The bum booster. Yeah, you know what I mean? And follow me on this path. I know that I'm going a while.
BBL Combine.
I'm going
BBL Combine.
At every NFL combine, the blue chip players literally prove that they're blue chip players, or they don't, and they fall a couple of spots. Usually, if you're that guy, you're that guy. A team is locked in on you. They're not going to let an NFL combine distract them from what you did throughout an entire college season. What it does is it gives you that little bump up for the dudes that you're like, that is a 3rd round pick. Now all of a sudden he's a 1st round pick, end of the 1st round. We didn't see this. What were you watching? You know what I mean? And the teams that usually do take swings on those guys usually end up missing. Anthony Richardson looks exactly like what he thought he was going to look like.
Well, he sure could hit a roof at the combine.
Like, you can find certain things. Like, I think Xavier Worthy improved his stock at the combine, right? But realistically, Xavier Worthy was going to be a 2nd round pick anyway. And Kansas City was just like, F it. We need him. He fits what we want to do. Let's go get him. We also are the Kansas City Chiefs, who have Chris Jones, who have Patrick Mahomes, who have Travis Kelce, who have all these things. We're not looking for a ton here. Maybe you should look for tackle, but we're not looking for a ton. So, like, to me, the combine is like, people come away from the combine with these hardline opinions, and I love what J Mac calls it, man. It's just the underwear Olympics, bro. Yeah, I mean, you get a bunch of guys in their draws standing together.
Well, boy.
Yeah, I mean, just measuring concern.
I don't know.
You're concerned.
Where are we going with this conversation?
That's what the NFL combine is, bro. It's just measurement.
Underwear, just measuring.
Hey, hey, you seen that Jerry Jones clip where he was with Jamie Foxx?
Yeah, I did.
You see that Jerry Jones clip where he was with Jamie Foxx? We're not gonna say it on here, but right. There's some measuring going on, bro. Why did he have that information? I've been wondering that for years, bro.
Jackson Powers Johnson contest going on.
12 and a half. What? How'd you get that information?
That's hilarious. That is freaking hilarious.
Hey, man,
no, I love the combine.
Dark Mind Jerry Jones loves the combine. It feels a little wrong to say that about Jerry. I ain't gonna lie to you. Hey, man, we appreciate y'all for tuning in to the show. Love it. That like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. We're gonna take a quick break, listening to a word from our sponsors. When we come back, Chicago Bears projected bold moves of the offseason from ESPN. I don't like it. We'll talk about all that more in today's episode of The Morning Breeze. Stay tapped there with us, man. We'll be right back. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching the show. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Aura. Have you ever done a Google search on your own name? You'd be surprised what pops up. Your full name, email address, home address, health records, your relatives. It's all out there. And that's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests just for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it protects me from hackers who could use that information to help them access my social media, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. It's really simple to set up. I don't have to download several apps or go to things like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft, but you can get all of that in one place with Aura. I get everything at one affordable price as well. You may already have one or two of these tools, but not having Aura is like leaving the front door locked while leaving the back door and windows wide open. For you to be able to take advantage of Aura, we got a special deal for you here today. Stop data brokers from exposing your personal information. Go to my sponsor at https:/aura.com/the Windy City. Again, that is aura.com/the Windy City to get a 14-day free trial and see how much of your information is being sold. Ducky. Jerry Jones was scouting for Diddy parties.
The best show for Chicago sports.
Oh, welcome back. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love to another edition of the Windy City Breeze Sports Talk Daily. The Morning Breeze edition. We got some members in this mug, man. Breeze super fans in the building. Baki, a member for 26 months. I think it said Tana was a member for 36.
Nice.
Pterodactyl Pop, 35 months for Tana. Pterodactyl Pops was 6 months. Shout out to the Breeze super fans in the building, man. Sign up with the super fans, man.
That's called loyalty right there.
Oh, we got something coming for them too with all the merch and stuff coming out. Oh yeah, it's gonna pay off to be a Breeze super fan.
Nice.
But he said, y'all know what I said years. The combine, pro days, and individual workout has ended many GMs' careers 100%.
That's a good point.
We're just talking about the Bears possibly trading up at the combine. Could that be a move that the Bears are looking to get done while they're talking with all these GMs? Or, you know, rubbing elbows, kissing babies, all that stuff. You got to do as a, what would that be, a politician? Getting political? Is that what you said?
Kissing babies, rubbing elbows? Is that what you're doing?
Is that what I guess that is kind of what politicians do. That's where that comes from, ain't it? That's a weird thing to do. Yeah, man, don't put your lips on my baby. That's why are you kissing my baby, dog?
It shows the softer side of politicians when they come.
Is that what it is?
They're like, "Oh, look at the little kid." All right,
yeah, I mean,
they make this rule for these.
You can't trust a guy that's shaking babies and kissing hands. You know what I mean?
Shaking baby, I forgot about that. We did like reverse it.
Yeah, you can't trust the guy that's shaking babies and kissing hands.
Come here, baby. Yeah. Better vote for this.
Maybe that's a guy that gets it. He saw something in that baby you can't trust. He's like, oh, this baby's gonna grow up to run against me one day.
Really?
Hey man, we do got to get JC a little bit of exercise because we are over 200.
God, here we go. All right, here we go.
Over 300 in that chair. 300. Wasn't too bad.
Good morning. Not bad at all.
277 on the YouTube side, man. 63 likes on the video. Let's get it up over 100 likes, man.
Get him up.
108 on the Twitter side. Hit that retweet button, man. Y'all know we back at it again. Morning Breeze back in business, man. Let's talk about this. Chicago, ESPN, I should say, did a projection for bold offseason moves for all 32 teams. And with the Bears, they went a little bit of a different direction. Now, listen, I have been one on record to say, you know, after watching the Super Bowl, I would like to see the Bears build up the defensive line while still attacking the offensive line, but going defensive line early on in the draft. Maybe if you can get somebody defensively in free agency, I think there's a lot of opportunity here for the Bears to build this team up. Here's what ESPN had to say. And this from Aaron Schatz. He said the Bears were 14th in adjusted sack rate, but just 24th in pass rush win rate, 36.5 last season. Their starting 4 defensive linemen are expected to be back, but their depth players are all free agents. Montez Sweat, the Bears' big pass rush acquisition for 2023, ranked 47th out of 51 qualifying edges with a pass rush win rate of just 9.9%, and he led the team with just 5.5 sacks. The defensive line also is aging. Sweat will be 29 next season. D-Walk, who is gone, and defensive tackle Andrew Billings will be 30. The best move for the Bears would be to take an edge rusher away from one of the Super Bowl teams. The Eagles' Josh Sweat dominated in the Super Bowl with 2.5 sacks and could give the Bears an all-Sweat pass rush if he signed. I like the Sweat connection. The Chiefs' Charles Onmihu is also a free agent and would be an excellent addition. Then the Bears need to go after the defensive line with 2 or 3 draft picks. There will be a lot to talk about the offensive line, but quarterback Caleb Williams' sack issues, a lead high 68, can be attributed more to his own tendencies than the Bears blockers. Instead, the Bears go with a pass rusher in the first round, such as edge rusher Shamar Stewart or interior pass rusher Walter Nolan. Now listen, I have said that One, there's going to be certain things with the sack numbers that Caleb Williams has that are just going to be attributed to him, right? That's kind of going to be his career. I never expect him to be a 15 sack guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be near the 20s, probably near the 30s every season. Lamar Jackson usually is. Patrick Mahomes usually is. Patrick Mahomes led the NFL in passing yards the year that he was sacked that much, right? Like it's a different NFL. You can survive that.
Yeah.
It hurts you, but if you make the big plays, if you make the splash plays, if you are the superstar, you can survive. To say that of 68 sacks, that most of them are on Caleb Williams tells me you're not watching. Even PFF, who I think grades incredibly gracious for the Chicago Bears offensive line, only attributes 17 of the sacks to Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
That means 51 of the sacks are on somebody on that offensive line. And I think that's the part that is, when you look at this, is concerning about the offensive line, is why you have to go all in on the offensive line. There's an article, and I got it saved on Twitter, and I do want to, maybe we'll break it down tomorrow, because it's not even an article. It's literally a guy on Twitter who broke down every single offensive line combination week by week that the Chicago Bears had and why things failed.
Mm-hmm.
And literally it's just, well, this guy didn't start here. This guy made it here. Actually, they had the same starting lineup, but 4 of the guys died in the middle of the game. This guy actually made it to the end of the game, but then he was dead the next week. And so you didn't, right? Like he breaks down all of these different things with the offensive line. And I think that that's the part where I'm fine with you being aggressive on the defensive line. I'm fine with you being aggressive on the defensive line. I want you to be. I'm fine with you going after Josh Sweat. Let's not be too aggressive. Let's not ignore the fact that we watched our center most of the season on his back. Let's not ignore the fact that our left guard is usually injured. Let's not ignore the fact that no matter what PFF says, and I don't care where you Braxton Jones fans stands are in the comments, that Braxton Jones is not a good left tackle. He is serviceable at best. And that's on his best day. Let's not ignore the fact that Matt Pryor is the best option we got at right guard because the dude you traded for is dead. And Ryan Bates. Like, by the way, why is he still on the team?
Talk about Ryan Bates.
Why is Ryan Bates still on the team? We're doing cap cuts here.
There's something there. I don't know.
Ryan Bates should have been gone. I shouldn't see a Ryan Bates on my team. I could say $4 million.
Hey.
But hey, I digress. Would you go all in on the defense the way that this says? I think the fact that, you're going top 10 pick on the defensive line, and with 2 or 3 draft picks, you're addressing the defensive line on the football. I'm not mad at that, right? But that means 3 out of your 7 picks you're going defensive line. Am I going offensive line with the other 4? Because I don't think that you can just ignore the offensive line.
Yeah, what does it mean to go all in? Because my thing is you need to address both sides of this thing on the trenches. Going all in to me means that you have everything else addressed. Like, when you look at some of the top teams in the league, when you say, oh, well, they're going to go all in on this prospect, it's because they have all of their other areas filled. You don't necessarily have too many gaping holes on your team, and you can move forward and get the best whatever available free agent available or best player available in the draft. We don't have that luxury as of right now. And so even if, I would like a Josh Sweat. He had an amazing Super Bowl with the 2.5 sacks. I even looked a little bit up on the Charles Omenu, like he would be a good depth piece. He had 7.5 sacks, I believe, the previous year in 23 for Kansas City. And so I believe he's, a young prospect as well, not too old as well. I think 26 years old could be. But
check it.
Do you overlook the other areas on your offensive line as well? No, you do not. So addressing that while also going for 10, and you get a Mike Green or a James Pierce Jr. or Nick Gordon or Mikael Williams or whatever, one of these other defensive ends that's projected to go in the first round, and you just completely ignore getting one of the better offensive linemen around that time, and you address it later, I'm not for that. I think there's a world where we can go back and forth, right? I think, in free agency, you can get a guy like a Josh Sweat that won't cost you the farm like a Myles Garrett will, or even a Trey Hendrickson or a Micah Parsons or whatever some of the bigger names in the league will cost you as far as draft capital. But then come back and get, your Drew Dahlman or your even maybe a Trey Smith, because of the capital that we got from just letting go of Everett and DeMarcus Walker. You got $2.5 million more dollars added to the salary cap, I believe. So we're in the 80s now, right? When it comes to cap space. So there's a world where we can go not all in on defense, but we can still get some really good pieces and address the depth, address the talent level, but then also go back to the other side and be smart about this and address offensive line.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that, and this is a great question. 305 Mike McGee, a lot of Packers gear in that picture, dog. I know he commenting on Bears stuff, but a lot of Packers gear in that picture.
You got Jimmy bringing his boys up in here. What's going on?
No, Jimmy's got the dogs out. Are you assuming Karan won't be a contributor in 2025? He was a pretty high pick. Listen, here's my thing about Karan Amagaji.
Oh boy, gotta be available.
One is availability, but you drafted a guy who was hurt. Number two, though, and I think the most important part of all of it is the conversation around Karan is, did you draft Braxton Jones in the third round? Braxton Jones is fine in the fifth, but did you draft Braxton Jones in the third round? Karan Amagaji, the biggest problem that I have with him is the same problem I have with Braxton. No base, no legs, no bottom half. Doesn't set a good base. It is something that didn't affect him much in college because he played at, was he Yale? He was Yale, right? Because he played at Yale.
Yeah.
And it affects you in the NFL when you've got Myles Garrett going up against you. It affects you in the NFL when you've got Montez Sweat going up against you in practice. That wasn't pretty either. It affects you in the NFL when you've got some of those top guys who have the strength to just go through you, and Aiden Hutchinson in your own division here, Jared Verse, right? Like those guys who are just like, oh, I'm gonna just go through you, not around you. You need to have that base, and Karan just doesn't. I don't think that you should be fooled by what you saw. I don't think that you should be surprised by what you saw. And I don't think that you need to listen. It's all about development. You want to develop these guys. You want to get the most out of them. I think that's why the new training staff is going to be very important. I think that's why the new assistant coaches are going to be very important. I think that's why you need to see more out of development in the building. But that's one of those where you kind of already see what the top end of that guy is going to be, and it kind of is what Braxton Jones currently is. Again, I'm not telling you Braxton Jones is the worst left tackle in the NFL. What I am telling you is that serviceable is 22-25 in this NFL.
Yeah.
People want to tell me that he's top 10. If he's top 10, that means that there isn't a lot of good left tackle talent in this NFL. You know what I mean? Don't be fooled by whatever the PFF numbers are. And again, take PFF all with a grain of salt. Take the 17 sacks that Caleb Williams is attributed with a grain of salt. If you think he got more, maybe he got more. Still a lot of sacks on the offensive line, right? Like those are the things for me where when you see the eye test, and he was young, didn't have an offseason, didn't have a camp. Maybe he comes back better shape next season, and he's a completely different player. But I'm also not sitting here holding my breath with my young rookie or my second-year quarterback, who is supposed to be the jewel of this draft, and saying I'm going to take a chance and see if Karan Amagaji develops. No, I'm addressing left tackle in the draft, and may the best man win. And guess what? If I end up with two good left tackles and one becomes a guard, one stays at tackle, or I end up with two good left tackles and I'm able to trade one, since when is that a bad thing? Depth at the position. I think that's the spot that you really want to see this Bears team finally get to, especially in the trenches.
Yeah, and I'm fine with keeping Karan here and developing him, but we're already at the point where you have to move forward and maybe get somebody that number one is going to stay on the field, not come in already drafted hurt and need time to recover or whatever the case may be. Like Karan is a guy who at this point has been talked about being moved inside, probably a better guard at this point or whatever the case may be. But again, it's all about the development. See a lot of people, and I don't know where this is coming from, saying that Karan is better than Braxton. I think the potential for Karan is better than Braxton. Obviously, you get him in the third round versus a fifth rounder, but from what we've already seen on the field, Braxton Jones has already kind of peaked, which means he's had better tape. He's obviously had more experience in the league. And so, I'm still going to say that Braxton at this point is better than Karan. It depends on the way Karan stays on the field and develops. But overall, the conversation, again, going back to, do we need to address just the defense? No. The reason why we need to address the offensive line is because of conversations like that, where you have two left tackles where one has peaked, but you still see that there needs to be an upgrade there. Braxton has some things that he is just bad at. He has weaknesses all over the board. And again, we keep getting guys that look like that pair of teeth picture that you showed plenty of times, and it needs to change.
Like a wisdom tooth.
Wisdom tooth for Karan, wisdom tooth for Braxton. Braxton has been a better wisdom tooth at this point, but we need some sturdy teeth. We need some sturdy teeth on this line, and so that's why, again, you got to have balance when it comes to this offseason. You can't just say, "Oh, let's go edge rusher in the free agency and let's go edge rusher early in the draft." No. You're going to miss out on some really good prospects and some really good free agents that could really address both sides of this thing here on the trenches if you only see it from one side.
Yeah, and listen, I get it if you want to go all in, right? Getting back to the original conversation, if you want to go all in on defense, if you get a lot accomplished on the offensive line, right? I've said I'm fine with you being aggressive on the defensive side if you get the Trey Smith and Andrew Dahlman, and you go out and get a Montez Sweat. But if you just want to sign, or not a Montez Sweat, I'm sorry, a Myles Garrett. But if you just want to sign Josh Sweat, who's also a great name to have in there as well, right? Like you have the money to make those moves, and then you go out and you draft somebody in the first round, right? I'm fine with that. I'm fine with you being aggressive on the defensive side of the football, but I think to me, to ignore the offensive side, it's almost really just that final statement, right? That this is all on Caleb Williams. It's all Caleb Williams' fault that Caleb Coleman Shelton fell over as much as he did last season. It's all Caleb Williams' fault.
That's insane.
That Darnell Wright was getting run around at times on the outside edge. It's all Caleb Williams' fault that Braxton Jones got sacked into him. It's all Caleb Williams' fault that, and there's certain things that are his fault. I'm not absolving him of blame, but 68 sacks. I'm not just looking at Caleb Williams. You can't tell me that this is a serviceable thing with 68 sacks. You can't tell me that this offensive line is serviceable with 68 sacks. Like it's almost like we can ignore the offensive line because it's just on Caleb Williams' development.
Here's the thing, too. Money makes a difference. Again, you have one of the cheaper offensive lines in the entire sport. That shows why that it could be also a talent level and a deficiency on the offensive line. Like you pay to get some of the better players. You have to spend money in order to actually address this the right way. When you and what do we talk about? When half of that money is already put into, I think it was Nate Davis. With
$23 million in the offensive line, 10 of it was Nate Davis.
10 of it was Nate Davis. Like that is poor. That's poor. And so that's why when we hear the front office, when we hear the president, when we hear the GM, when we hear the owner of the organization say we're going all in this offseason, we're going to open up the checkbook. Well, there's reasons for that, because money actually means something when you're trying to address these matters.
Yeah.
You have to pay for premium players. You have to go out and get the best of the best. And so, again, yes, offensive line. You can blame a few things on Caleb Williams. There was a
lot of things on Caleb Williams.
On Caleb, yeah, like 17, I'm fine with it. And let's just say maybe there were a few more that were his fault that are off the record, like because we know that Caleb tries to extend plays to no end, like to the detriment of the team where he loses yardage.
100%.
Like there's times where yes, you can say he had some rookie hiccups and he should have gotten rid of the ball early, should have threw it to his down player, his running back, and he should have just got rid of the ball quicker. Sure. But you cannot sit here and say, well, if Caleb played just a little bit better and got rid of the ball a little bit quicker, we have a top 10 offensive line. Absolutely not. Never, ever, ever will I say that.
And I think that's the thing. Does it improve? Yeah. Did Caleb need to get rid of the ball quicker at times? Yes. Sure. 100%. Also didn't have an OC that was teaching him how to play football apparently at the NFL level. But hey, it's neither here nor there.
That's so insane still to me.
That's still a wild thing to hear, bro. That Shane Waldron wasn't watching tape with Caleb. You want to know the wildest part about it? No counter story. Like I was fully waiting for this isn't true. Shane Waldron was in the room.
Shane and asked him.
Never happened. This was a complete gross exaggeration. No counter story at all. Just
Shane was like, yeah, I didn't do anything.
Bet you wish I was in there watching tape with you, don't you? Watch your back.
Watch your back. That's crazy. I just got this job for no reason.
I just got this job. I do like this, though, before we get out of here. Where'd that comment go? From Crimson. Where's it at? And this is not a apples to apples situation here with Caleb Williams and Justin Fields, but just like it was all Justin's fault.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that happened on the offensive line is way better than what we think it is. It's Justin Fields' fault. He's causing the sacks. He is causing some of them. He's not causing himself to be the leading sack getter in the NFL. Caleb Williams is a cause for some of it. But he's not a cause for 68 of them. He's not a cause for 40 of them. One conversation you have to have no matter what is that whatever number you think Caleb Williams caused, the offensive line caused more.
2/3 more.
You know what I mean?
I keep things
you can be in 20. You can be at 25. You can be at 30. If you think Caleb Williams caused 30 sacks this season, the offensive line gave up 38.
Even more.
So, like, to me, I think that you just can't risk yet again ignoring that. You can't risk yet again ignoring how poorly the play in front of him has been. And there's a reason that we're hearing that Ryan Poles wants to spend money on the tackle, wants to go after this, why these guys are linked to the Chicago Bears. It's not just, names thrown up in the sky. Especially when Shefty does it. Y'all know how Shefty does something.
Oh, boy.
Shefty hits you with what about that Doman guy? What are your thoughts on him to Chicago? To be like, you're the guy. You're the guy that puts
something we don't know. Jesus.
Oh, man. Hey, man, let us know you guys' thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. We're going to get up out of here, man. We will be back for the daily show today, so stay tapped in with us, man, as we got plenty more coming you guys' way. Also, stay tuned in with us for any clips, any drops that are coming. Going to do the Morning Breeze recap in a little bit, so stay tapped in with us for that as well. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. Bear down, one love for Mr. Media himself, George JC, it's your boy, Pat the Designer, back at it again. Peace.
I don't know why people saying Caleb sucks. Like, everything he went through this year, you all keep thinking he sucked. He had a great season for everything he went through.
Some people live in misery.
Jesus, get out of that mindset.
Hey, you rest in peace.